Anybody that's ever built anything knows that it's a hard thing to forecast exactly how a job's going to go. There are so many variables, and the only thing that is certain is that there's going to be surprises, and when you get to the end, you're going to look back and say, wow, that was something other than what I expected. I think that probably that's true whether it's just pertaining to changing a toilet or building a house or building a football stadium. There's going to be a lot of new things that you're going to learn as you work your way through the project. I would like to talk about the role of a general contractor in a construction project, large or small, what their day-to-day routine is like, and what it is that they bring to the table or don't bring to the table for somebody who's wanting to get some work done. What a general contractor does is take responsibility for the outcome of a construction project. Whether it's large or small, he takes the risk. He is confident in his ability to handle all the variables in construction, and in a legally binding document will obligate himself to get the work done. Now you think, okay, great, interesting. But think about it just a little longer, because the number of things that he is exposed to is large. And some of them are squarely under his control and within his ability to influence, and some of them are not. And yet, he somehow has convinced himself that he can manage the project well enough to be able to deal with the risk and the exposure, both for the things that he can control and for the things that he can't control. Now, having said that, part of what a general contractor does is write or authorize or read and agree to contracts. And so he will have identified which exposures are so far beyond his control that he can't take responsibility for them. But usually almost anything that goes bad on a construction site is going to finally, when it gets right down to it, be attributed to a failure or an oversight or a blunder on the part of the general contractor. Or at least that's one of the places that it can be attributed.
Yeah, I watched the tack there.
One of the primary tasks and tools that a general contractor has is his list of subcontractors. They take a lot of management. But a general contractor knows the people, knows the process, knows what their work should look like, and so takes responsibility for their work. He pays them. He determines when payment is due, and it is the money that is in his account that goes to the subcontractor, which sets up a situation where they respond nicely to what he has to say and may not respond too satisfactorily to what anybody else has to say. Construction in the 21st century is highly specialized. Tasks that used to be done by generalists are now often done by people who have a little narrow niche of work that they perform. Your general contractor knows who those people are and knows when bringing in a specialist for a little short-term task is going to save money and maybe get a better job than letting it be included in the scope of work of someone who doesn't specialize and may or may not be efficient at that process. Closely related to being familiar with subcontractors and scheduling and managing their work is being familiar with the available materials in your area, the ones that are tested and proven in your climate, and the people that sell those materials and how long it takes to get them and when the quality is good and when the quality needs to be re-examined, how those materials should be delivered and stored. All of the questions about what goes into the project in terms of the stuff is something that a general contractor has to either know or know somebody that knows. And by that I mean he's on a first-name basis with the material suppliers in your community, and he can go back to his subcontractors and ask them specific questions about new products and innovative processes and where to go for the latest and greatest. And all of that knowledge about the people who install it and where you can buy it is integral to getting a good product. The flip side to a general contractor's familiarity with the right product is that it opens up a whole field and a whole area where a general contractor can rip off the client by substituting substandard materials. We'll talk about that later more and in detail, but I didn't want you to think that I have any illusions about the fact that general contractors can and do, in fact, substitute substandard materials and bill as if it was top-tier stuff. So we'll talk about that, but familiarity with materials and suppliers is a key part of being a general contractor. So the risks that a contractor takes it's a mile wide, right? I mean, there's a wide river of pitfalls in construction, from manufacturing defects in material to individual tradespeople's personal lives, creating complications which keep them off the job and slow down the process, stretching out timelines, to weather events that nobody can control but that will absolutely damage or delay a project, missing a completion date, to bad workmanship by someone who is not appropriately managed, or how did it happen? I don't know, but the workmanship is there and so it has to be fixed, and to injuries and to accidents and car wrecks and cranes that break and ladders that get tipped over, and there is no limit on any given day to the number of things that can go bad on a job site. And that's not even to mention interacting with jurisdictions and municipalities and inspections and OSHA and all of the things that can complicate a job to the point that somebody's going to lose some money. And in real terms, if your general contractor is a good one, and if your contract with him has been reviewed by somebody who knows how to review a contract, the money that's lost should be his, not the client's. At least that's the exposure that he has opened himself up to and that he's willing to take for the promise or hope of making some money when the job is all done.
We got here this morning planning on just laying this conduit, and right when I pulled up I saw that water on the wall, which interestingly this wall's totally dry. It must have been raining sideways because that's the wall, that's where the water hit. Anyways, it filled up our trenches and they were flowing what must have been like a river. And now, instead of laying conduit, we're going to spend the day digging out this trench for the third time.
There are some jobs out there, they tend to be the larger jobs, where it's either a bank or a building department that mandates, nope, we're not doing this unless you've got a general contractor on the job with his license, with his bond, with his insurance, so that we've got somebody to fall back on if things go suddenly and irretrievably bad, and we're not doing it unless you have one. Well, that makes it pretty easy to figure out. The thing that's not quite so easy to figure out next is how to find the right one. Now, I don't know you, and I don't know where you live or how your lenders respond to this or how your building departments, if you have one, respond to this, but you might be able to build a house or some other project on your own. I don't know, but you can figure out whether or not you can do that, and if the answer is yes, there you go. And if the honest answer is no, there you go. And it all boils down to how much risk are you willing to take upon yourself for some amount of reward. So I am at least vaguely aware that a video like this is so broad and there's such an infinite range of projects and people, contractors and clients, that to have anything specific and helpful for you out of a video like this is frankly kind of unlikely, isn't it? I don't know if one word I've said has been helpful to you, but here's the takeaway that I think perhaps is worthwhile. A general contractor is agreeing, at least in theory, to take risk and responsibility for the outcome of your project in return for a premium, money. He marks up his costs, he intends to be paid, and he will see that he is paid one way or the other. If you find a good one, you will know in advance how much he's going to make, or at least you'll know what your project is going to cost. If you find a bad one, he's got his hand deep in your wallet and he's going to find ways to be paid over and over and over that will be painful. So you got to be smart. You have to be on guard to start the process. You have to realistically be able to evaluate what you bring to the table and evaluate what a possible general contractor is bringing to the table. Now, we have an ebook for sale on Amazon that covers some of these very basic and important things that you need to know about and understand before you hire a contractor. These items are important for hiring any contractor, but especially important if you're going to hire a general contractor. Because, as we have discussed, a general contractor has an enormous ability to impact your project, for good or for ill. The ebook covers 9 important topics, including what has to be the most important topic: how and when to pay the contractor. This book's only $5, which is less than a box of good screws, and I hope you check it out. We've also placed the content from this ebook into video format, and it's available to our supporters, so check the description below for more details. Thank you for sitting there and watching me talk about what a general contractor does, and keep up the good work.